Welcome, everyone. I hope everybody's doing well tonight. Yeah, this isn't gonna be this one isn't gonna be real pleasant, guys. Not very lighthearted, like I normally do them. This is this has been a crazy day. I want to take a second here and express my deep concern for the people of Beirut, of Lebanon. Um, I thought about actually showing that explosion on here, but I'm pretty sure everybody has already seen it. It is very, very vivid. That type of explosion you could see caused a lot of casualties. And the last time I checked, I believe the death count was up to about 80 for that, and thousands injured. I saw footage of people walking around covered in blood. I can't imagine something like that just happening out of the blue where you live. Now I know that Lebanon is no, it's definitely not the place of sunshine and rainbows. There's definitely a lot of war going on in that area. There has been for a long time. But nevertheless, what I saw today was extremely heartbreaking. I mean, it was, I saw so many people got footage of it. And I mean, what I saw looked like a Michael Bay movie. It was, it looked like a nuclear bomb. I mean, what they show in the movies, what those look like, just, not of, I mean, I don't know. But my heart goes out to every one of those people out there. And I really hope that the prime minister of that country does everything that he can to help those people and their families in any way that he can. But I'm going to go ahead and say hello to everybody before we get into tonight's topic. Mignon, of course. How are you? Norma Thomas, Catherine Summers, Bang Bang Kiss Kiss 007. Excuse me. Sandy Jersey Girl, always good to see you. Yeah, it's Susie Pops. How we doing? Lori A. That girl, it's good to see you. Lonnie Gore. Lufa, what's up? Yeah, so guys, Maria C, how we doing? So and you guys don't, I don't really care about that too much, but the super chat is disabled, but I did not disable it. I'm going to take a second real quick and express my gripe out loud to Google and AdSense, because I have been doing this for a while, and sometimes I like to drop F-bombs, and sometimes my live streams don't get monetized, and sometimes they do, depending on whether or not sponsors feel like they want to, it's the kind of thing where if you can make a couple bucks doing it, why not? It's cool. But the thing is I've been waiting for, the way it works is they send you a PIN number through the mail, and then you log in through that PIN number, and then you collect your monetization after you've given your bank information. I've given them all that stuff, except the PIN number has never come in the mail. And so so now the PIN number basically being in limbo, God knows where, they they decided, I got an email and they just disabled super chat and cut off any monetization that I would be getting because I have not put in the PIN number that they have never sent me, which I have asked for 3 times. So, you know, so if for any reason you want to support the stream monetarily, the mods will be dropping a PayPal link. There's also a link in the description. So, screw Google, man. If you guys want to wait, I mean, come on. Like, I'm trying to give you money. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, if I could if I have to just cut you out, and just drop my PayPal link, and then if people want to donate that way, then cool. I mean, but I'm still gonna come on here, and I doubt that they're screwing with me in some way, and I'm saying things that they don't like. I've heard that I'm just not that paranoid. I've heard that if you don't follow the left rhetoric to a T on Google and on Facebook, that they mess with you. And I don't know about all that. All I know is I come on here, I say what I want, and I say how I genuinely feel, and I share my honest feelings with you guys. And I love that I get to do that. If I was doing this for money, I wouldn't be doing it because I haven't collected almost anything from this. I definitely have not collected anything from the YouTube monetization. The only money I've ever actually collected is money that people have donated to the channel through the PayPal link. So, like I said, if I was doing this for money, I wouldn't be doing it because I haven't collected anything. So, anyways, tonight we're going to be talking about George Floyd, and I realize that this is a sensitive subject. And before I continue, I want to say what we're going to be watching is going to be basically the events leading up to the untimely demise of George Floyd, which has caused so much controversy in our society. And this footage, it's not as graphic. I'm not going to show the other footage. I don't feel the need to go over and I personally, I don't get a whole lot of enjoyment from witnessing a murder. So I'm assuming that most of you feel the same way, and I don't feel the need to do that. But I will be showing and I will be going over my thoughts in detail of the leaked footage that was released yesterday, I believe. And it is it's hard to watch. It's definitely hard to watch, but it's not the actual murder. They're simply the events leading up to them. And I'm probably going to say things about this that many people feel very strongly about and do not agree with. But I have, just like anybody else in this country right now, or even in the world, I have very strong feelings about what happened to George Floyd. But I have very strong feelings about what happens to every single person that gets murdered that we talk about on this channel or in this community. I feel very strongly about anybody who gets killed in such an unjust manner. This is particularly troubling because it was done by a police officer abusing his power, clearly abusing his power. Derek Chauvin belongs in prison, in my personal opinion. He's supposed to set an example of what police officers are supposed to be. Police officers are there to serve and protect us. Police officers are civil servants. They are now, of course, if you're breaking the law, then they're going to have to do whatever they have to do to protect us from you. That's their job. Their job is to protect us from you if you are a criminal. And so we have to keep that in mind, people. We have to keep these things in mind, that they're not gonna do things that are, If they're of the mind of serving justice, they're going to do what needs to be done to serve justice. But this is not the case with Derek Chauvin. This was not what he was doing. He was not doing anything to protect anyone. What he was doing was basically, in my personal opinion, my synopsis of watching what he was doing to George Floyd was not an intentional murder. I believe the charges that he is charged with right now are fair, are accurate. I do find it to be a second-degree murder thing simply because I don't think that he had the intention of murdering George Floyd. But what he did have the intention of doing was looking at every camera phone in the eye, basically looking us all in the eye as he was abusing his power. People were saying get off of him, and out of general principle, because he's a big bad cop and he's not going to be told what to do, decided to just completely ignore that, and that was his way of saying screw you to everybody that was trying to tell him how to do his job. That's all that was. It was a pissing contest on his end. That's all it was, nothing more. But it was not, in my personal opinion, it was not a premeditated murder. So and we're going to watch some stuff here, and there's a lot of opinions out there about this stuff, and I'm seriously going to do my best to just stick to my realistic predictions here. They might not be something that everyone agrees with, and if it rubs you the wrong way, I do apologize, but I'm not going to hold back what my opinions are on this channel, and it may not be for you. But we're going to go ahead and watch this. I'm going to go ahead and play it now. Now, I'm going to play it all the way through. I think I'm going to play it all the way through, and then we're going to watch it again, and I'll break it down the second time. Oops, my bad, guys. This is about 8 minutes long, almost 9 minutes long.
I see your hands. Stay in the car. Let me see your other hand. I'm sorry. Let me see your other hand. Please, both hands. Put your hands up right now. Let me see your other hand. Put your hand up there. Put your hand up there. Hands on the wheel. Hands on the wheel. I'm sorry, brother. Walt's in the car. Put your foot back in. I'm so sorry. God dang, man. Man, I got shot the same way as I was before. Okay, well, when I say let me see your hands, you put your hands up. I'm so sorry. You got them? Man, dang, man. Put your hands on top of your head. Hands on top of your head. Hands on top of your head. Step out of the vehicle and step away from me, all right? Step out and face away. Step out and face away. Okay, please don't shoot me. Please, man. I'm not going to shoot you. Step out and face away. I'm going to get out of here, man. Please don't shoot me, man. Please, man. I just lost my mom, man. Step out and face away. Step out and face away. Please don't shoot me, Mr. Officer. Please. Don't shoot me, man. Step out and face away. You're not shooting me, man? I'm not shooting you. Step out and face away. Okay. Please, man. Please. I didn't know, man. Get out of the car. I didn't know, Mr. Officer. I didn't know. Right now. Stop moving. Put your hand behind your back then. I'm not going to do nothing. In the floor. Things go wrong. Hey, you come back. Stay in the car. Stop resisting, man. Yes, you are. Stand up. Against the wall. Yes.
What I doing?
We're figuring out what's going on. Drop the bag.
Figure out what's going on.
Adam, what's the problem?
We was getting a ride, I just got my phone fixed. It's my accident.
Adam, don't be.
That's my accident.
Good.
He told me to get in my car. That's it, man. They got George Floyd.
You can ask Mr. Adam about me. You have ID?
I'm on 38 years old.
38 years old about me, sir. I just came to bought a tablet, and when I bought a tablet, it didn't.
Oh my God! He didn't even do nothing.
You have ID?
No, I don't. My name's Shawan Hill. No.
Sir. Okay.
I just came over to get my phone. See, I don't have a purse or nothing. And my daughter is on her way to get me.
What's the deal?
I don't know. That's my ex. I don't know.
Why is he getting all squirrely and not showing his hands and just being all weird like that?
Because he's been shot before.
Well, I get that, but still, when I'm going to say get out of the car, he's drunk, is he on something?
Oh, he got a thing going on. I'm telling you
What
about
does that
the
mean?
police. We have problems all the time when they come, especially when that man spit that gun like that. It's been one.
What's your first name?
He's pretty good. George Floyd.
What is it?
He's a good guy. George Floyd, you said. Oh, ouchie,
What
man.
are you on something right now?
No, nothing.
You acting erratic. Let's go.
Yeah, man.
Let's go.
God, man. Yes. Yes, I was just moving earlier.
Let's go.
All right, let me calm down now. It's a little better now.
Keep walking.
Okay, one favor, man.
No,
Now this is pretty long, so what I'm going to do, we're about halfway through it, but I'm going to go ahead and start it over and just go over this stuff because I don't want to take up too much of everyone's time here, but and be sure to leave in the comments, guys. Be sure to comment what your take is on these on what you're watching here, please.
Get to your hands.
Hey, man.
Stay in the car. Let me see your other hand.
I'm sorry.
Let me see your other hand. Both hands. Put your hands up right now. Let me see your other hand. Put your hand up there. Put your hand up there.
Now, I'm going to go ahead and say that I think that it's wrong when a police officer does not let you know why they're being stopped. Now, I'm not a police officer, so I don't know. I honestly don't know. But in theory, I feel like that's something that should be made clear. I feel like that would have hopefully possibly taken away some of the confusion on George Floyd's part here. He was clearly very confused about why he was being stopped, or at least he came off that way. And even if they know that he knows why he's being stopped, if he did something wrong, then just I don't know. It just seems to me like they should have let him know why he was being stopped and why he was being pulled out of the car. But at the same time, he's being very evasive. He's being very resistant, not violently in any way, obviously. And I want to be very clear about something. Anything that I say moving forward, I want there to be no mistake that I am not in any way justifying what happened to George Floyd. There is absolutely no reason for Derek Chauvin to have done what he did to George Floyd. And that is honestly how I feel about it. And I don't feel any differently about it. I've always felt that way, and I still feel that way. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to talk about the events leading up to this. And this may, whether we like it or not, this may actually help the officers in question in court. And I don't like it any more than you do. But right now, we're definitely seeing an uncooperative George Floyd.
Hands on the wheel. Hands on the wheel. Walt's in the car. Put your foot back in.
God dang, man. Man, I got shot the same way before.
Okay, well, when I say let me see your hands, you put your hands up. You got him?
Dang, man.
I mean, he's got a point. He's saying, well, you know, if you don't want to get shot, do what I say. Put your hands up. Show me that you are not a threat to me, and this will all just go fine, and it'll all be over. Unfortunately, it did not go that way, but it makes sense to me why a police officer would be frustrated in this particular situation right here, because he's showing resistance. He's not violently showing resistance, but he is definitely not being cooperative.
Put your hands on top of your head. Hands on top of your head. Hands on top of your head. Step out of the vehicle and step away from me, all right? Step out and face away. Step out and face away.
Please don't shoot me. Please, man.
I'm not going to shoot you. Step out and face away.
I'm going to get out of here, man. Please don't shoot me, man. Please, man.
See, I mean, what any adult, in my opinion, with common sense, because the consensus right now is the question of whether or not this man, whether or not George Floyd was under the influence of something, whether it be alcohol or a substance. That's in question right now, because he's simply not following simple instructions, which is just show us your hands, step out of the car. And he's not hearing a word they're saying. He's saying, please don't shoot me. Please don't shoot me, man. I got shot like this before, man. It's, you know, so I don't want to say that he's unreasonably afraid. But it seems that way. It seems that way to the officer right now. Now, it's like I said, I don't feel it's fair to say that he's unreasonably afraid, because I don't know what he went through before. I don't know what happened. And I'm gonna say this too. I'm gonna get this out of the way. I know that people want to talk about George Floyd's past, and they want to talk about his criminal record, and none of that, in my opinion, is relevant to this here, other than why he was being pulled over, why he was under suspicion, whatever that was. But I'm not going to sit here and talk about any of his past charges or anything of that nature, because I don't feel that it's relevant to this specific thing that we are going over right now.
Step out and face away.
Step out and face away.
Please don't shoot me, Mr. Officer. Please don't shoot me, man.
Step out and face away.
You're not shooting me, man.
I'm not shooting you. Step out and face away.
Please, man. Please.
I mean, if he was going to shoot you, he'd have done it while you're sitting in the car, man. Just get out of the car.
I didn't know, man.
Get out of the car.
I didn't know, Mr. Officer. Right
Now, at this point, the bystanders, the people watching, are pleading with George Floyd to stop resisting. Just do what they say. They're pleading with him to do that.
Stop moving. Hey, you come back. Stay in the car.
See, now I've been in situations where the cops randomly just stopped me, where cops have pointed guns at me. I've been in situations like that, and my instinct has always been, even back when I was a shithead, my instinct has always been, yes, sir. Okay. Yes, sir. You know, whatever. I put my hands behind my back, put me in cuffs, whatever you got to do. We'll clear this up later. If I didn't do anything, I'm confident that I'm going to let them know that I did not do anything. And they're going to realize that I didn't do anything. I'm pretty confident in that sense. So, to me, I feel like that's a no-brainer. That's how this should have happened.
Stop resisting, man. Yes, you are. Stand up. Against the wall. Yes. What are you doing? We're figuring out what's going on. Drop the bag.
Now, for them to react, going, "What did I do?" That makes sense. But I also feel like the officer is trying to gain control of the scene. He doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't know who's involved in whatever they're saying, but or whatever they're saying happened here. It seems like he's just simply trying to control the scenario until he figures out what's going on. Obviously, the police were called. There was descriptions of whoever, and they've got George Floyd because he was suspected, I guess, of giving counterfeit money or whatever. They don't know who else is involved. They don't know if he's got friends. They don't know if they're violent, especially. They don't know if they're violent, so they're saying, get up against the wall, and I'm just trying to figure out what's going on. Now, is he being nice about it? No. But
what's the problem?
It ain't us. We was getting a ride, sir. I just got my phone fee. It's my Adam. That's my ex.
Are you good?
now I want to make a point. At this point, the fact that they walked him over to this wall where everyone else is standing shows me that at no point there was any excuse to put your weight through your knee on this man's neck for 8 minutes until he expires. There's absolutely no justification for that whatsoever. Because they've got control of him at this point, basically.
You can ask Mr. Adam about me. You have ID?
I'm on 38 years old. 38 years old.
I just came about the tablet, and when I bought a tablet, it didn't.
Oh my God! He didn't even do nothing.
You have ID?
No, I don't. My name's Shawan Hill.
Now, when the police ask you for ID, there are generally two types of people who don't have ID. And that's either someone who lives on the street, has no need for an ID. Well, three. Someone who lost their ID. They just don't happen to have one at the moment. Or someone who has warrants and they don't want their name run because they know once they check that ID, they're going to be putting handcuffs in the back of that car. So, so already, if I'm a police officer, I'm suspicious of the person who doesn't have ID.
I just came over to get my phone. See, I don't have a purse or nothing. And my daughter is on her way to get me.
Okay, so she's like, I didn't even have my purse with me, which is understandable. There's times where I just don't happen to have my ID with me because I keep it in my backpack or whatever. So, that makes sense. But I'd still be suspicious.
I don't know. That's my ex. I don't know.
Why is he getting all squirrely and not showing his hands and just being all weird like that?
Because he's been shot before.
Well, I get that, but still, when I'm going to take it out of the car, is he drunk? Is he on something?
Oh, he got a thing going on. I'm telling you
What
about
does
this
that mean?
He have problems all the time when they come, especially when.
All right, so this woman is basically indicating that George Floyd, she knows George Floyd, and that he has, he has emotional issues. He has he has mental issues. psychological issues. So, she's not a psychologist. So her way of explaining that is he's got problems. So now the question remains whether or not George Floyd was under the influence of something, but I don't think that matters either. People get arrested for being under the influence of things all the time. In fact, they put up much more of a fight and they don't end up dead from a officer leaning all of his weight onto somebody's neck.
When that man took that gun like that, it's been one.
What's your name?
His name is George Floyd.
What is
He's a good guy. George Floyd said, oh,
What, are you on something right now?
No, nothing. You acting already.
Let's go.
Yeah, man.
Let's go.
Yeah, man. Yes. Yes, I was just moving earlier.
Let's go.
All right, let me come on down now. It's a little better now.
Keep walking.
Okay, do me one favor, man.
No, let me get to the car. Let's get to the car, man. Come on.
Hey, man. Oh, man.
These guys at this point are just trying to get him to the car. Like so far, this is the thing, people. So far, there's literally nothing to indicate that this was a racially motivated hate crime. There just isn't anything to indicate. I'm not saying that it wasn't. I'm saying in a court of law, if you show this body cam footage, it is not going to be difficult for a defense lawyer to say it is on the burden of proof is on the state to prove that this was a racially motivated hate crime. They have to prove that. And so far, there's nothing on here that proves that. I mean, if you look at the 4 officers that are charged, that have been fired and are charged, they're literally probably the most racially diverse group of 4 people that I've ever seen that it gets. I mean, does anybody disagree with that? So, and there was a black officer. So, I mean, it's all I'm saying. It's going to be really difficult to prove that this was a racially motivated hate crime. And, this video makes it that much more difficult because so far these officers, whoever has the body cam footage, is following procedure. They have not mistreated this man. They have not insulted him. They haven't said anything except they're just trying to figure out what the situation is, what is going on.
God, don't leave me, man. Please, man.
I want to watch that car too, so stop going down. Stay underneath the face of the car door.
Now, this is where things get really, really disturbing, but also very interesting. Right now, George Floyd is in a panic state. He's in a panic state because he does not want to get into the back of that car. He is claiming to be claustrophobic. He is saying that you're going to see that in this video prior to Derek Chauvin having his knee on his neck, George Floyd repeatedly says the words, "I can't breathe." And he asks for his mother. So the narrative created can be disputed in a court of law. The narrative created that he can't breathe, that he was saying, "I can't breathe," and they should have got off of him, can be argued by the defense with this video. And I don't like that any more than anybody else does. That's just the reality of the situation.
I don't want to talk to you, man.
Please, let me talk to you, please. You ain't listening to nothing. I know. We're not going to listen to nothing you're saying. Can you watch that car? Make sure no one goes in it. I hear you, but you're going to face the door right now. Listen up. Stop. I'll do anything. I'll do anything y'all tell me to do, man. I'm not a listener, man. I'm not. You can ask you. You know me, you know. God, man, I'm going to do nothing like this, y'all. Why is it going on like this? Look at my wrist, officer. I'm not that kind of guy. Stop. I'm not that kind of guy. Stop. Please. I'm not that kind of guy, Mr. Officer. Please. Stay away. Please, man. Don't leave me by myself, man. Please. I'm just claustrophobic. That's it. Well, you're still going in the car. Anything sharp on you? I won't do nothing to hurt you.
Now, let's also keep in mind, guys, if we're thinking realistically, people, how many times do you think police officers hear that? Think about it. Doesn't matter what city they're in. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what police department. How many times does, on an average, do you think a police officer hears the words, I can't get in that car because I'm claustrophobic. You can't put me in that car. I'm claustrophobic. Can't put me in a cell in jail because I'm claustrophobic. How many times do you think they hear that? To me, I feel like that's standard, that you're just going to, like in the academy, you're going to prepare to deal with excuses like this. People are going to say whatever they can to not be taken to jail. Nobody wants to go to jail. They're going to say whatever they can. They're going to beg and plead. And they're going to come up with any possible reason to try to get out of being in that position. It doesn't even matter what they did.
No, sir. Nothing. Why y'all doing me like that? I was just please crack his window for me and stuff, man. I am claustrophobic for real, I was just. Can you please crack it for me, please?
Yes, I'll
for my
crack
man.
it.
Stay with me, man.
I will.
Please stay with me, man. Thank you. God, man. I didn't know I was doing that, man.
Yes, Bang Bang Kiss Kiss 007. He is cuffed at the moment. He's just refusing to get into the car. He's resisting getting in the car. Now he's basically trying to negotiate with the officers when the officers are not on the same wavelength as him. The officers are like, you're getting in this car, period. That's it. You're going to get in the car. We're going to secure you. And then we are going to figure out what the hell's going on. And we'll explain everything to you. But until we feel that you are secure, we're not going to explain anything to you. You have to cooperate. That's the mentality of these officers. Now, Derek Chauvin, I don't know about. But what I'm seeing from these officers is they're saying, you need to just get in the car, period. And I guarantee you that they hear the claustrophobic thing all the time. To them, this is just another perp who doesn't want to get into the car. That's all they're thinking. They're not trying to counsel this guy. They're not mental health professionals. They're not social workers. They're cops. And look at the size of George Floyd. He is a big, strong guy. It's naive of them to not feel to a certain degree threatened. It's naive of them to not take every possible precaution to secure this man, especially when they think that he might be under the influence of something and he's behaving erratically. So,
Please, man. None of y'all, man. Nothing.
You got it?
Inside in the pocket real quick on your shirt. I'm listening. And I understand that people do stuff.
All right, he's good. That's fine. There's nothing wrong.
Okay.
Grab a seat.
I'll
I'll roll the windows down, okay?
Please don't take a seat. I'm going in. I'm going in. No, you're not. I gotta go in. Take a seat.
Grab a seat.
Fine, I don't believe me. Take a seat. I'm not that kind of guy. I'm not that kind of guy, man. Take a seat. Yo, I'm gonna die here. I'm gonna die, man. You need to take a seat right now. And I just had COVID, man. I don't want to go back to that.
Did you hear him just now? He just said, I'm going to die. He's basically saying, if you put me in that car, I'm going to die.
I'll roll the window down. Hey, listen.
Dang, man.
Listen.
I'm not that kind of guy.
I'll roll the window down and
Please,
put the
man.
lights in, all right? I'll put the air on.
Stop. Look at that. Look at that. Now you look at it. Look at it. We can fix it, but not while you're standing out. Okay, man. God, y'all do me bad, man. Man, I don't want to try to win. I don't want to try to win. I don't want to win. I'm claustrophobic. I'm claustrophobic. I got anxiety. I don't want to do nothing to this.
I'll roll the window down.
Man, I'm scared. When I start breathing, it's going to go off on me, man.
Pull your legs in.
Okay. Because of three.
Saying my breathing's going to go off on me. I'm not going to be able to breathe if you put me in this car.
Let me count three and I'm going in. Please. I'm not trying to win. I get on the ground or anything. I can't get in the car. He's going.
Over here, I'm gonna pull you in.
Get in the car. No, you're not getting in the car. Get in the car. Okay, man. Okay. I'm not a bad guy, man. Get in the car. I'm not a bad guy.
Now, guys, I hate saying it because we all know the outcome of what happened here. But that does not automatically exclude the fact that he is being completely uncooperative. And what happens when people panic? If I'm a police officer, I'm going to be honest with you here. If I'm a police officer and there is a man of that stature, that size, and he is becoming more and more and more in a panicked state, that puts people in danger. The more a man that size becomes in a panicked state, it is irresponsible for a police officer to not assume that everyone in the vicinity is in danger. Their job is to control that situation. So right now, so far, I'm going to tell you, it's going to be really, really difficult for the prosecution to paint this as a hate crime.
I can't choke. I can't breathe. Please. Fine. My wrist, man. Please. I can't take this, man. I can't. I'm on the ground. 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 Come on. I'm going down. We're down. We're down. What? We're down. I'm down. I'm not breathing. I know I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
Now, in all fairness, guys, we can't see what's happening right now. This body cam, it's just too close to whatever struggle is happening, but we are not seeing what they're doing to him right now. But again, the unfortunate thing about that is it's on the prosecution to prove that something right there was happening, that they were hurting him in some way. Because the only thing that we do see is him resisting from getting in that car and going to any lengths to try to convince the police officers why he should not be in that car. He is going to desperate lengths. He is screaming.
win.
So I'm going to go over something. I was discussing this with someone last night, and they made some interesting points. I mean, we're talking about how he was in handcuffs, and somehow they had him in the car. They pretty much had him in the car, and in handcuffs, he still managed to wrestle his way out. So it puts into context why he was put on the ground in the first place. It puts into context. I'm not saying that what took place once he was on the ground is in any way justified whatsoever, but it does put into context why he was put on the ground. That makes for a difficult case for the prosecution. Yeah, he had no intention of getting in that cop car at all. So I guys, here's where I'm at. Here's where I'm at. What's going to happen? What happens if these guys walk? See, I don't think Derek Chauvin has a chance of walking. Not at all. But there's a good chance that the other three officers will just get away with being fired, being let go. Because make no mistake, they did allow this to happen. They controlled the crowd while Derek Chauvin had his knee on George Floyd's neck until he died. So, but everything in that video that we just watched, people, indicated procedure. Up until the point that Derek Chauvin had his knee on George Floyd's neck, up until that point, everything could be everything could be let's face it, people. There's nothing there to indicate that this was racially motivated. There's nothing there to indicate racially motivated police brutality. Police brutality? Absolutely. Racially motivated police brutality? Nothing in that video to indicate it. Nothing at all. I personally believe. Now, I don't know. I don't know anything about Derek Chauvin. I don't know if he's a racist. I don't know what his past complaints were about. I don't know if he's had racial complaints, but I guarantee you that any white cop is going to have complaints at some point of being a racist. It's going to happen. But we can't forget the fact that this white cop killed a black man on camera and did not seem to care that he was being filmed in the process doing it. Now, I would argue that him knowing that he was being filmed, why would someone be so stupid as to actually intentionally murder someone when they know that they're being watched by the entire world? So the second degree murder charge, I mean, it's going to be real hard to prove otherwise. It's real hard, next to impossible, to prove a first degree murder charge. And the other three, I mean, they could walk. They could walk. I don't think they should. Personally, I don't think they should. Personally, I think that the fact that they were just protecting their fellow officer, but they were protecting him during a crime while that officer was committing a crime and abusing his power, they should be held accountable for it by law, not just fired. They should do some time. Absolutely. In my opinion, they aided that. Now, did they think that he was going to kill him? No. I don't think that. I don't believe that. That girl, I agree with you. Yeah, Derek Chauvin definitely has some anger issues. Derek Chauvin definitely has some hatred in his heart. Now, whether it's racially motivated hatred, I don't know. But he's definitely somebody who has hatred for others. Otherwise, he would not have done what he did and been so bold about it. He was completely and totally arrogant, as Johnny Cuddy said here. But I'm going to go out on a limb, guys, and I'm going to say this video coming out changes a lot of things, man. It just does. And I wonder what's going to happen. Because right now, I don't want to get too deep into that. But I don't believe that a lot of what's going on right now in a lot of these major cities really has anything to do with George Floyd or really social justice even. But the fact of the matter is I wonder what's going to happen and how people are going to react. I already know how people are going to react. But if these 3 officers get off because of this video, because this video, let's face it, this video is just as much proof as the video footage we saw of Derek Chauvin killing George Floyd. Is it not? Is that not solid proof? Video footage? That's why they wear the body cams. For situations like this, when we question, I wonder what led up to that. When we sit there and we think of the George Floyd incident as a true crime case, that's what we do. Whenever we think about these cases, we go, well, I wonder what led up to that. And a lot of times it's irrelevant, right? In this case, it's pretty irrelevant that George Floyd had a criminal past or that he, was resisting arrest. None of which are excuses for Derek Chauvin to kill this man the way that he did. But what if these 4 officers, due to simple lack of evidence, walk? Are people going to riot even more? And I think they will. I think people will. I think people are going to riot. But here's where I get stuck on things like that. Because like I said, there's no evidence that this was racially motivated. Not as far as what I see. I don't see any evidence of this being racially motivated. But who here isn't sickened when a mother gets away with murdering her own toddler? Because lest we forget, Casey Anthony walked. Everyone knew she was guilty. Here's what happened with Casey Anthony. See, the prosecution failed to properly search Casey Anthony's computer history. They failed to properly search her computer. And her Firefox search history turned up later and proved that she went and she cleared her search history after moments before she was actually picked up and arrested. After she was interviewed by police, she went back home and then they went back and picked her up. In between that time, in a very short period of time, she cleared her search history. Or somebody cleared her search history. But at the time that was taken, Casey Anthony was the only person in that house. It was a question of whether or not her father had done it. But no, he had already gone to work. He had left for work. But the prosecution failed to show this evidence that turned up later. And she searched for something, I forgot what it was, but it's something to do with asphyxiation. So she Googled, or she Firefox searched something about asphyxiation, and she deleted it. So, but when Casey Anthony was found not guilty, and the whole world was watching it on television because it was a very public trial, and the whole world was watching it on television, and she got away with it, nobody rioted. Nobody took to the streets and protested. And why wouldn't you do that for a little girl? Why don't we care as much about a little girl? That's what I want to know. Why did we not demand justice? Why didn't we demand justice for little Kaylee? Because the thing is, this isn't about George Floyd anymore. This is about an election. And it's really sad. It's really sad. And I've said it before on this channel, when everyone took to the streets and peacefully protested, it touched my heart. I felt like the world came together. And I would have been for defunding the police even. As much as I respect the police and what they do, but if we don't need them, then yes, take those funds and put it towards something else. Absolutely. Great. But the problem was, we blew it, man. We blew it. We had every opportunity. We had a beautiful opportunity to show that we did not need to be policed. We could have policed ourselves. We expressed our First Amendment rights. We gather, we come together, we storm the streets, and we scream justice for George Floyd, but we do it peacefully and let the world know that this is what we want. We want change, and we want it now. As soon as people started throwing bricks, as soon as people started robbing small businesses, Black-owned businesses, the cause was lost. You're not going to tell me any differently. Give a shit what you think. You're not going to tell me any differently. The cause was lost. As soon as it became violent and people started stealing and hurting each other, because if you're protesting for peace. You're saying we want peace between police and citizens. We don't want to be taken for granted. We don't want to be treated poorly. We want to be treated fairly. We want the police to do their jobs and work for us and get justice when justice is needed. But as soon as you start robbing each other and hurting each other, killing each other, You're going to tell me that that's in the name of George Floyd? Nah, man. Nah. Just not buying it, man. Just not buying it. All right, let's see what we got here. TCH, maybe people are so sick of our so-called leaders' lies, everyday lying, knowing people will listen to their own demise. You know, how is that an excuse to hurt each other? Where does it make sense? I don't want to hear that. No offense, but to me, that's not an excuse. If I'm mad at mom, I'm not going to go punch my brother in the face. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't make any sense. It's got nothing to do with our leaders. People made it about that, and they use it as an excuse. Well, our leaders aren't doing their job. Our leaders aren't doing this. Our leaders aren't doing that. So we're just going to go run amok and start tearing things down and start killing everybody. That's stupid. That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense at all. Yeah, Summer H, you're right. Some people have a twisted idea of what justice is. But the fact of the matter remains is that all we did was prove that we still need police. That's all we did. Now, I could sit here and we can go into, Trump, whether or not he's doing things the right way, or Biden and what his plans are. I could get into all that political shit, but I'm not doing that, because I'm not going to take away the accountability that I'm talking about right now. And the accountability is on us. The accountability that I'm talking about. Now, whether there's accountability there, sure, but that's not this conversation. This conversation is about the accountability that we have as a society, as people, as neighbors. So I'm not gonna blow that off by starting to shift blame on the leaders. It's not a leader's fault that somebody decides to pick up a brick and throw it through a window and start taking whatever they want. That's got nothing to do with a leader. That's got to do with somebody having enough accountability for themselves to say, I have enough integrity to work for what I get, and respect the fact that whoever I'm about to steal from worked real hard for what I'm about to take from them. So I'm not going to do that. That's accountability. Accountability that when you're a thief, you don't have. Because everybody makes an excuse and everybody justifies their actions with something. There's always somebody to blame. There's always somebody that's at fault. My mommy didn't love me enough. I grew up without a dad. No, man, you know what you're doing is wrong. You know what you're doing is wrong. If you know that you could go to jail for doing it, don't do it. We're not going to get anywhere. We start blaming other people for what we're doing. You decide, I'm not going to compromise my personal character that way, and I'm going to do something to make myself proud of myself. That's a decision that each individual, that is on them to make. You're not going to get anywhere. Blaming other people for your problems. Even if somebody else is at fault for where you're at, it's up to you to change it, to improve it. I don't give a shit who's president. If you're a thief, you're a thief. I don't care who's president. I don't care who your alderman is or your mayor is. It's got nothing to do with what you are choosing to do with your life. Yeah, and the world is really divided right now. I mean, think about it, people. How do you want to go out? Because right now, people need to start thinking about that. As scary as it is, you need to start thinking about that. How do you want to go out? If a blast like that can happen in Beirut just like that, that could happen anywhere, at any minute. That could happen anywhere. It's time to face reality, people. How do you want to go out? What type of person do you want to be when that time comes? You want to be somebody who made excuses? You want to be somebody who cried and bitched about the way things were instead of taking a step further to do what you can to change it? We're all going to die one day, man. That's just the facts. We're all going to die one day. But I don't know about you. I want to die trying. I just want to die trying, doing my best. Guys, yeah, man, the world's in a crazy spot right now. And there's nothing we can do to change it other than be the best people that we can individually be. Do your part, pull your weight, toe the line. I mean, that's all you can do. You're not going to change nothing by crying and moaning about things. It's not going to happen. Nobody cares. That's the reality. Nobody really gives a shit about you at the end of the day. At the end of the day, it's on you to give a shit about you. Anyways, guys, I'm going to call it. I really appreciate everybody being cool in chat. I know this is a difficult thing to talk about. I know it's a difficult thing to think about, but I mean, unfortunately, it's the reality of the way things are. They just are. I'm not happy about it. But guys, I really appreciate everybody. And yeah, we're going to do this again very soon, my friends.